that's true that you care about privacy and you're hewing to these principles, why are you arguing, Facebook, in federal court that consumers can't hold you liable for any of these promises because, quote, as plaintiffs admit, they and every Facebook user are bound by Facebook's terms of service, which release Facebook from liability for users' contract and common law claims?
Congresswoman, I'm not familiar with that specific legal argument.
Well, it's right there for you.
Mark Zuckerberg assumed he could evade another wave of scrutiny. Huge miscalculation. Katie Porter arrived equipped with definitive proof, exposing the disconnect between the tech platform's commitments and its actual operations, posing one direct issue. If you genuinely value corporate responsibility, why actively battle it during litigation? Watch closely.
Mr. Zuckerberg, as you know, Facebook can be sometimes an unkind place, both toward my personal appearance and today apparently toward your haircut. But I just, as a mother of a teenage boy, I just want to say thanks for modeling the shortcut. You have said, quote, we have a responsibility to protect our data, and if we can't, then we don't deserve to serve you, unquote. Do you remember making that statement?
Congresswoman, yes.
And Facebook's privacy principles say, 1, we give you control of your privacy. 2, you own and can delete your information. And 3, we are accountable. Today, can you affirm that Facebook cares about user privacy and still holds itself to the standards it articulates in its public policies?
Congresswoman, we certainly care about privacy. It's
Okay.
incredibly important to people.
Great.
And
Super. If that's true that you care about privacy and you're hewing to these principles, why are you arguing, Facebook, in federal court that consumers can't hold you liable for any of these promises because, quote, as plaintiffs admit, they and every Facebook user are bound by Facebook's terms of service, which release Facebook from liability for users' contract and common law claims?
Congresswoman, I'm not familiar with that specific legal argument.
Well, it's right there for you. You are arguing in federal court that in a consumer data privacy lawsuit in which your own lawyers admit that users' information was stolen, that the plaintiffs failed to articulate any injury. In other words, no harm, no foul. Facebook messed up, but it doesn't matter. Is that your position?
Congresswoman, I'm not familiar with all the context here, and I'm not a lawyer, so it's a little bit hard for me to weigh in on this.
Mr. Zuckerberg, as CEO and the tremendously proportional shareholder of Facebook, you are responsible for the legal arguments that your company makes. You hire these lawyers. Will you commit to withdrawing this argument and this pleading and never again plead that there is no liability on Facebook when data breaches occur?
Congresswoman, you're certainly right that I'm CEO and I'm responsible for everything that happens in the company. All that I'm saying is that I imagine that there are more pages to this document, and
Okay, I'm going to take that as a no for right now, but I would like you to consider it. I think your pleading is inconsistent with your privacy principles, and I think that American people are tired of this hypocrisy. I've been in Congress 10 months, and I have already lost count of how many people have sat in exactly that chair and said one thing to me and to this Congress and then done another thing in federal court. I want to turn to a different issue. Facebook's known as a great place to work, free food, ping pong tables, great employee benefits, but Facebook doesn't use its employees for the hardest jobs in the company. You've got about 15,000 contractors watching murders, stabbings, suicides, other gruesome, disgusting videos for content moderation, correct?
Congressman, yes, I believe that that's correct.
You pay many of those workers under $30,000 a year, and you've cut them off from mental health care when they leave the company, even if they have PTSD because of their work for your company. Is that correct?
Congresswoman, my understanding is we pay everyone, including the contractors associated with the company, at least a $15 minimum wage. In markets and cities where there's a high cost of living, that's a $20 minimum wage. We go out of our way
Thank
to
you.
offer
I take your word at the wage.
health.
Reclaiming my time. According to one report I have, and this is straight out of an episode of Black Mirror, these workers get nine minutes of supervised wellness time per day. That means 9 minutes to cry in the stairwell while somebody watches them. Would you be willing to commit to spending 1 hour a day for the next year watching these videos and acting as a content monitor and only accessing the same benefits available to your workers?
Congresswoman, we work hard to make sure that we give good benefits to all the folks who are doing this.
Mr. Zuckerberg, reclaiming my time, I would appreciate a yes or a no. Would you be willing to act as a content monitor? To have that life experience?
I'm not sure that it would best serve our community for me to spend that much
reclaiming my time. Mr. Zuckerberg,
I spend a lot of
reclaiming my
time.
time. Mr. Zuckerberg, are you saying you're not qualified to be a content monitor?
No, Congresswoman, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, then you're saying you're not willing to do it. How many lobbyists are on your payroll?
Congresswoman, I don't know the answer to that.
60. So 6 lobbyists. And I wanted to ask about the timing of your announcement this week to invest $1 billion into housing charity on the day before your testimony before this committee. You may respond in writing. My time has expired.
If there were ever an ideal illustration of why countless Americans have lost faith in major tech leaders, you simply witnessed it. Representative Porter did not arrive searching for media clips. Rather, she appeared armed with hard facts. She recited the executive's own statements back to him, contrasted them against the platform's litigation strategies, and posed the exact inquiry millions of users have demanded for years. If this network genuinely values digital privacy, why does it continuously battle consumers rather than upholding the pledges it publicly offers? That is the specific moment that truly resonated the most. The social network loves assuring users they remain in command of their information, telling the public privacy remains a fundamental value, and broadcasting advertisements regarding safety and obligation. Yet according to the Congresswoman, when citizens sued the corporation after their personal details were breached, the defense attorneys claimed individuals could not hold the business accountable due to the fine print they originally accepted. Consider that massive contradiction carefully. One narrative exists for the general public, while an entirely different story exists for the legal system. Rather than confronting that hypocrisy directly, the founder repeatedly stated he was entirely unfamiliar with that specific litigation strategy. Now it is perfectly reasonable to acknowledge that chief executives do not personally author every legal brief. However, the representative was not asking if he actually typed the paperwork. She was inquiring whether he bears ultimate responsibility for the aggressive legal postures his massive corporation adopts. He had previously conceded that as the top executive he remains accountable for everything occurring within the business, yet when she pressured him to retract the defense, he refused to pledge any action. That is precisely the reason these congressional sessions remain vital. Lawmakers are not merely present to allow corporate leaders to recite rehearsed public relations scripts. Their true purpose is testing whether those polished statements can withstand intense interrogation. Throughout this particular exchange, the lawmaker consistently steered the conversation back toward one fundamental concept of absolute accountability. She subsequently pivoted toward a different subject that frequently receives significantly less spotlight than data protection, which is the welfare of digital content reviewers. Most individuals rarely consider the employees who dedicate countless hours daily to screening footage of severe conflict, fatalities, cruelty, self-harm, and illicit exploitation just to maintain functional social networks. It is mentally draining labor that can easily inflict permanent psychological trauma. The representative emphasized that numerous such reviewers were temporary hires earning fairly minimal pay while constantly processing some of the most horrifying digital media conceivable. She referenced investigations detailing restricted recovery periods and highlighted deep concerns regarding psychological care options once these employees inevitably depart their positions. Whether every single figure she presented perfectly mirrors every temporary worker or corporate facility remains a completely different debate. The overarching theme remains incredibly difficult to brush aside. The essential individuals shielding billions of regular users from the darkest corners of the web are frequently entirely overlooked. When the Congresswoman dared the founder to dedicate just 1 hour daily to performing that exact duty under identical circumstances, his reply was remarkably revealing. He explicitly stated that he did not believe such an activity would represent the optimal use of his schedule. That is the precise juncture where their dialogue became profoundly symbolic. The powerful executives executing billion-dollar choices regarding digital networks rarely endure the harsh reality confronted by the frontline staff carrying out the most punishing assignments. The lawmaker intended to expose that massive separation, and she achieved her goal by posing an inquiry that could not be effortlessly dodged. Following that came a secondary illuminating instance when the executive politely refused. She quickly asked if he was implying he lacked the proper qualifications. He swiftly corrected the record to assert that was not his intended meaning whatsoever. Therefore, the primary obstacle was never his innate capability, but rather his fundamental willingness. That represents a critical differentiation, since effective leadership is not solely regarding formulating strategic business choices, it also demands grasping the human toll attached to those policies. She concluded her time by noting the tech giant's sudden declaration of a massive billion-dollar housing project right before the congressional session began. Was this an act of authentic charity, or was it simply a strategically scheduled media stunt? She allowed that query to linger unresolved, yet it mirrored a wider anxiety that massive enterprises occasionally leverage charitable declarations to deflect public outrage without ever fixing the core problems being debated. Now, in the interest of fairness, the platform has poured massive funds into digital security, media review systems, and user privacy over the years, and managing a network utilized by billions of humans remains an astronomically complex endeavor. No single legislative session could possibly encapsulate every nuance of running an international software empire, yet that reality does not eliminate the basic requirement for corporate transparency. Whenever major brands issue solemn vows to their customers, those guarantees must actually carry genuine weight. Whenever employees are mandated to execute mentally destructive tasks, they inherently deserve substantial systemic support, and whenever top leaders appear before lawmakers, claiming absolute ignorance should never serve as the standard defense the moment difficult inquiries surface. Regardless of whether you align with every single argument the representative presented or not, she ultimately showcased what rigorous legislative oversight is truly designed to resemble. She arrived fully prepared, referenced official paperwork, demanded straightforward replies, and flatly refused to allow meticulously designed corporate jargon to substitute for actual substance. That is precisely the level of intense examination that organizations wielding monumental societal influence ought to anticipate. If multi-billion-dollar conglomerates desire the trust of the general public, they must secure it through absolute transparency, steady consistency, and fierce accountability, rather than relying solely upon refined speeches or conveniently scheduled press releases. If you appreciated this detailed analysis, ensure you subscribe to the channel, since we constantly cover the most significant political tribunals, corporate clashes, and crucial moments of justice you will definitely not want to miss. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments section regarding whether you believe the executive actually addressed the representative's inquiries, or if he merely spent the entire proceeding deflecting them. If you found value in this presentation, please leave a like, subscribe to our platform, and I will catch you in the next upload.